Good evening and welcome to Thursday with Jamila. I am so excited to be on with you all this evening. It's been a while and I've had a couple of things to transpire. The first that I want to tell you guys though, one of the events that I've been talking about for the last few weeks, it is officially time for that show to go live. So we actually have the Spring Into Your Freedom event. It's taking place this Friday and Saturday in Houston, Texas. No, I'm sorry, in Webster, Texas. I'm so sorry about that. So my mic was muted, you guys. So let me say again, it's Thursday with Jamila. Thank God for my engineer friend who is here to fix that for me, because you guys, I'm a one-man band today, but I'm so excited. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to get signed on Facebook. Again, this is the week of Spring Into Your Freedom. It's taking place in Webster, Texas. I'm so excited about having the opportunity to be with Carmen Welch. She is such a gem. She's such a jewel, and I'm excited about what she's doing in the community. I admonish her, one, because she goes after the hard cases. I don't think that we have to spin our wheels trying to save the saved. I think it's a better attempt to go after those who wouldn't be reached unless we were out in the field. So again, Carmen Welch, I salute you. I'm so proud to be on this journey with you. I'm looking forward to a phenomenal weekend this weekend in Webster, Texas. So far, I know we have about 50 some odd ladies that will be in the building, which is exciting. So I hope, and she said, I just saw her post on Facebook, she said there's still time to register. So if you have been thinking about coming to this event, I will post the registration link after this episode so that you can get registered. There is still time for you to get there. So if you can, get there. It's not that far. Houston and Webster are like distant cousins, right? They're like real close, right? Not that far away. And then after that, I have another event that's coming up. It'll be at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. That's located here in Houston. And it is the Women's Expo, and that host is Angela Ware. I'm excited about that. We're going to have an opportunity for women to come together to shop and be empowered and get some life skills and some business strategies, which is my cup of tea for sure. So if you want to do something that's going to be local, come to that event here in Houston, Texas. That will be April 13th at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. Okay, so we are going to jump into it in just a second here. I'm very excited about tonight's topic, which is leaving your mark. And I think you guys have kind of rocked with me for a couple of shows here, so you know kind of the vein in which I'm in when it comes to establishing your mark and your imprint while you have the opportunity. And if there's one thing that I have really learned to appreciate, is that when the moment is here, you have to take full advantage of the moment. There is no promise that it will circle back. So while you have the moment, seize it. Grasp everything that that particular season has come to teach you, because if you don't, the likelihood of you getting everything that you need, you may miss your opportunity. So while the moment is here, be sure that you take full advantage of every opportunity that presents itself to you, because it's yours for the taking. Okay, so again, we're talking about leaving your mark. One thing that has been a recurrent thing for me here lately, and it's crazy because I was just talking to my mom about it not long before I jumped on the call, and I keep hearing, you are the answer, or you've been made to be the answer, or the answer is within you. But whatever the theme has been, answer has been a common phrase that keeps representing itself to me. And it was sometime last year after prayer. Women with Purpose, shout out to my church at Great Emmanuel Family Worship Center. Women with Purpose did 6 a.m. prayer. And it was a high time in prayer, which it typically always is. And as I was driving home from prayer, there were some things that were on my heart, and I just asked God, and I poured out to Him in the form of a song. And I said, God, it seems like you continue to make me the answer. And although I appreciate that, I love the fact that you allow me to be the answer for other people. And had they not come to me and me been obedient and receptive to what you had to say, they wouldn't have gotten the answer. But then there was the human part of me that said, but God, when are you going to answer me? and am I my own answer and I don't understand or I don't see it? And I was talking to my mom about that. And she said, that's funny that you said that. She was like, because when I was pregnant, she was like, I couldn't remember the lady's name in the Bible, but I knew that she had prayed over her womb. And she's like, I reiterated the same prayer, or a very similar prayer, that God, if you give her to me, I'll give her back to you for your service. And for some of you who may know, or some of you don't know, that's the Hannah's prayer, when she was praying, because Hannah had been really ostracized. To be barren in her day was a disgrace. And so Hannah, she was barren, and she was the target for Penini. I think that's how you say her name. She would mock her and she would tease her and she would make her envious by the fact that she was fruitful but you weren't. And so in the face of someone else's fruitfulness, she was made to be a mockery of. And she would pour out her petition before God, and she was just like, if you would give him to me, or give me a child, I will be careful to give that child back to you for your service. My mom told me that she prayed that same prayer over me. And I said, well, Mom, why you didn't tell me you prayed that prayer? Because I fuss. Me and my mom fuss, but it's all with love. And I was like, why you didn't tell me that? And so, but what it said to me was, it brought it all full circle to me, because the song came to me sometime last year. My pastor preached a same or similar message a couple weeks ago about being the answer. And I recently just got a book that I have been waiting on for a very, 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 very long time. And of course, I'm going to tell you what is she reading, and we're going to talk about a piece of this today. I don't know if you guys can see it on Facebook, but it is the Hannah Anointing. I just got that book today. And what my mom did, whether she realized it at the time or not, she prayed for the answer. And so before I knew I was the form of an answer, the prayer of being an answer had been prayed and spoken over my life. And just to kind of reiterate and kind of give you guys some context, when it came to Samuel, he was the answer to the nation of Israel. At the time when he was in his mother's womb, the voices of the prophets had gone silent. The land was kind of in a corrupt state. Calamity was all around it, and the voices of the prophets were nowhere to be found. And so what this book is outlining is the purpose of, sometimes the womb is shut up for an appointed season, because had Hannah had Samuel in a different time, what he was called to do would not have been fulfilled, because he would have been birthed out of season. And so that was an encouragement to me, having been a person that is going or is going through what they're calling second term infertility, was able to have a child the first time, and we've been in waiting for a very long time for the second child. And what it said to me was, I will give you the blessing at its appointed time, because that which I'm giving you is the answer that can address nations. And so if you are in waiting, understand that what's coming through you is an answer, but it's an answer for an appointed time. And so again, tonight's topic is leave your mark. And your mark is for an appointed season. And so in waiting, and I said this before, you've got to learn to wait well. And when you know that you will bring forth an answer, you can find joy in waiting, because you know what's to come will eradicate and change the trajectory of so many people's lives. And the one thing about the book that really blessed me so far, because I dug right into it, was the fact that, you guys, me and my watch and my phone are having a whole tango right now. The thing that really got me excited about the book so far, it was just explaining that knowing what you carry is one of your greatest assets. And so don't be so worried about it not coming to pass. Just know that the word spoken of you over you shall be fulfilled. But the thing that was critical to Hannah going from barrenness to fruitfulness, Hannah had to shift from wanting a desire for personal gain to wanting a desire to fulfill the assignment of God. He didn't open her womb until she decided, I'll give you back what you give to me. I don't want a child for the sake of having a child. I want a child to advance the kingdom. That is when the thing shifted for her. And so whatever you're in wait for, understand this, you guys. God is going to give you the answer when you are willing to give back to him what he so graciously is giving to you. And I feel that so strongly for someone, because I know I'm not the only person that's been waiting on a word that's hanging over my life. But I will tell you this, the thing that has gotten me through on the toughest of days is that God watches over his word. His word shall accomplish where it is sent. So it doesn't matter what you're waiting on. If it's from God, it shall be fulfilled. And I need y'all to remember that when it gets tough, when it feels like it's not going to happen, when it feels like I'm waiting in vain, remember, the word of God doesn't fall on soil that's not going to produce what he said. Every promise is yes and amen. Remember that, okay? And so understanding, like today was another level of revelation for me. Hearing my mother say, well, I prayed this prayer when I was pregnant with you, gave me a deeper appreciation for this theme that's been coming back to me for the last few months, that I am an answer. I was an answer before I even realized what that meant. And I don't think I'm alone in this. This isn't specific to me. Maybe some of you guys need to go ask your parents what they prayed when they knew that you were on the way, or what they prayed while they were hoping for you to come. What was the prayer? Because it may give you a deeper revelation of what you were called to do. I listened to a podcast this week, and it was Iyanla Vanzant. I probably say her name so wrong. Forgive me. Y'all know who I'm talking about, though. And she said, you matter. And she just kept saying it, and she just kept saying it. And it took me to a place of a hallelujah fit in my truck as I was going to lunch. Because, yes, I am the affirmation queen. Y'all know it. I will affirm you until you are blue in the face. But sometimes the affirmer needs to be affirmed. Okay? Check on your strong friends. Sometimes the one who affirms others needs to be affirmed. And she said it as if she was sitting right next to me in my vehicle. And it stirred something in me. But she said something that I'll never forget. She said, when you know your worth, you stand in it. And when you know your worth, you stand in your no, and you stand for your yeses. And so when you know who you are positioned and who you are called to be, and you understand that you came for a designated purpose, you stand with your shoulders a bit taller. You recognize that there is a weightiness about you just because of who you are. And you stop trying to prove your worth by activities. You just stand in the truth of who you are. And I want to encourage some of you guys to square your shoulders off a little bit and stand in the truth of who you are. Not what you're capable of doing, but just in the truth of who you are. Because it's just like when we give praise to God and we admonish him for him simply being God, not the God of things, but the God who is sovereign, the God who is God all by himself, the God whose name reigns supreme, the God who is the Lord of lords, the God who has heaven and he rests in heaven and the earth is his footstool, the God who knows our beginning from our ending, the God who wrote every single detail of our life. He's God all by himself. And so I don't have to attribute him to a bill payer. I don't have to attribute him to a way maker, although he is those things. But above all of it, he's simply God. And the reason I get excited about that is because he formed you and I in his likeness. So there's a characteristic, there's an attribute that is passed on from him to us that simply makes us enough all by ourselves. We're enough and qualified just for simply being. So now that you have been affirmed, now that you understand you've been called for a set purpose, what are you going to do while you're here? I have 3 points that I want to talk about. But before I start, I want us to think about this. When you don't have a clear sense of who you are, you have a tendency to wonder. We can't adequately leave our mark in the earth without first knowing who we are, without first declaring our worth. Once we know that, then we get to make strides in the direction of being the best version of that, reaching the highest potential of self. You only can do that when you decide, this is me, I'm good with me, either I'm for you or I'm not. Either, you're gonna drink from my cup of tea or you're not. And all of that is fine. And I don't have to think less of you because I wasn't called to you. But the one thing that I will do is make sure that I show up in the fullness of who I am every single day. I've got 24 hours to make it happen. When I wake up tomorrow, I got 24 hours to make it happen. I can't waste the time wondering. But I will if I don't have a clear sense of self. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you guys? I hope so. So I got really amped up about that, and I didn't know that it was gonna make me that emotional. So I do apologize. No, I don't. Y'all know I'm a crybaby. I was gonna apologize, but why? Anybody who has followed me for more than 5 minutes knows Jamila cries. Okay, there's tissue. I'm ready. Okay, but here's something that I want to talk about. So now that you have affirmed who you are, and now that you are clear on your worth, I want to talk about 3 things that help you leave your mark. And the first thing that I want to touch on is, what is your disadvantage? Okay, I'm a realist. I really am. Like, I'll give you the fluff and I'll give you the emotions, but I also want us to, after we've cried, let's get down to the foundation of what's going to help us withstand. Okay, so what are your disadvantages? We all have a thing that makes us feel like it's an odd stacked against us. Okay, it could be where we were born, it could be who we were born to, it could be our socioeconomic status, it could be our educational background. Whatever it is, we all feel like we have a thing, and the only way to diffuse the power of that thing is to address it head on. Okay, so while you're thinking of what's my disadvantage, I'm gonna tell you mine. Okay, so one of my disadvantages is I have a hearing deficit. Okay, born with very small ear canals, they said I have partial paralysis on my most inner ear bones, but my eardrum is undamaged. Okay, so the disadvantage for me is paralysis of an inner ear bone, but the advantage is my eardrum functions properly. So how do we deal with the disadvantage? Okay, we can have surgery and get a prosthetic bone, or we can wear hearing aids, because if the sound can get to the eardrum, she can hear perfectly fine. Okay, I'm gonna go with the less invasive version and I'm gonna get hearing aids. Okay, is that a new thing for me? Was I uncomfortable with that? Absolutely. But am I going to continue to settle for life because of that? Am I going to continue to settle for the thing that would try to hold me back instead of just dealing with it head on? Listen, it's cool, you guys. I have 85% hearing loss, and I'm doing it. I'm doing the things that I dared to do. I'm doing the things that I was afraid to do. I'm doing the things that people said I could never do. I decided to look at my advantage and say, you won't be the reason that I don't become all of who I was called to be. So deal with it. Don't back down from it. And then once you look that thing in the face, say, I'm gonna deal with you by any means necessary. I'm not backing down from you. I'm not afraid of you. How I get over you may be a scary thing for me, but I would rather take the risk of overtaking you than you making me live a life less than what I qualify for. So what are the disadvantages? Are you upset about where you were born? Move. You can't change the parents that you were born to, so you might want to go ahead and learn to love them. You may not like the community that you lived in. Okay, step your economic game up and move. Whatever it is, don't let that be the reason you fail to become the best version of you. Don't let that be the reason you don't reach your full potential. Okay? Because the disadvantages are learning opportunities for us all. Okay, I had to go from learning how to function in a world where I heard very little to being able to hear everything. Some people might say, oh, that's amazing, that's great. Okay, have you ever not been able to hear and then go from hearing paper be fed through a copy machine? It wore me out. Like, it was sensory overload. So there was still a level of adaptation that I had to avail myself to because it was new for me. But I'd rather go through the awkwardness of the new thing than live a life beneath my potential. I just didn't want to do it, right? And so my mind said we have to turn the disadvantage into an advantage, overcome whatever tries to hold you back. Absolutely. Like, why not? Okay, now listen. I'm I'm okay, I'm gonna be politically correct. My bad. I'm gonna go with my notes. Okay, so listen. So once you address the it, I would like you to consider the root cause of why you're calling that a disadvantage. And I strongly believe that at the root of every single disadvantage is an element of fear. Because fear is the kryptonite to your potential. It's the thing that's gonna hold you. And I want us to understand that fear is not an emotion, it's a spirit. And if we keep treating it like an emotion that we can turn on and turn off, we're never going to overcome it. You have to address it by what it is. It is a spirit. You have to denounce the spirit of fear over your life. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but what He has given us, the spirit of power, love, and of a sound mind. I don't have to be fearful. I get to call you by name and I get to address you. And see, the thing that spirits don't like is when you call them by name, because now they've been identified, so they can't hide in the way that they used to. They can't camouflage themselves in the way that they used to, because now you can call them out. So listen, call it out, dress it, move on. Okay? And then I want you to think about this, because there's going to be that transitional period. So once you've dealt with the disadvantage, you've called it by name, and now you're going to figure out how you're going to get from point A to point B. Please give yourself grace in that process, because failure is going to happen. You're going to fall because you've never done that before. You've never experienced that before. So don't be so hard on yourself and feel like you got to be a perfectionist straight out the gate. Listen, when the kids are learning how to walk, you don't condemn them for falling. So stop condemning yourself because you're having to go down a path that you've never gone down before and you're kind of stumbling along the way. You're human. It's cool. Keep going. The only thing that I'm going to fuss at you about is the fact that you decided, oh, it was too hard, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so you want to live a disadvantaged life. That's what you say. Every time you sit in your failure, every time you sit in your disappointment, you say, I'm going to live a life beneath my potential. For what? Because it's hard? Because people are looking at you like, why are you here? Or people didn't think that you would arrive to this point of awakening to your own self, to your own potential, and now you're ruffling some feathers. So, don't get over it, or they'll get out the way. Get over it or get out the way. Doesn't matter. But don't you stop evolving. Don't you stop choosing you. Don't you get discouraged because they're not subscribing to the evolution of you. Oh well, they'll get over it. And then if it's a matter of lack of understanding, if understanding is your disadvantage, get wisdom. It's available. It's readily available to you. Get wisdom. Don't let not knowing be the reason you don't evolve. Get a book. Get a friend, get a tribe, whatever you do, get the wisdom. But what I would encourage you to do, make sure you get the wisdom in a way that you understand. Okay? We all have a different learning style. We all have a different way that we would prefer to receive information. Get the information in the way that makes the most sense to you. Okay? So that you don't tap out. Okay? I don't really like spreadsheets and things. Excel, I see Kiana Anderson on here. She's, in my opinion, the Excel queen. Like, when we used to work together, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna lose Erie. I'd be like, I don't do formulas. So can somebody else figure this Excel out for me? Because that's not what I do. Now, you give me something like, I'm gonna do a presentation and I'm gonna stand before people. Boom, gotcha. But if I'm going to start a nonprofit, as I have, and I have books to manage, I have to know how to put an Excel, a basic one. I got to know how to put a basic Excel spreadsheet together, so I had to figure it out. I could keep passing the buck. But, God is going to bless, and I'll just have an accountant that's going to take care of all that for me. I'm going to know the basic fundamentals, and then I'm just going to leave everything else To the qualified employee, amen, amen. He said, speak those things that be not as though they were. We are coming. We are coming for you. Somebody gonna take care of that for me. It's cool. I'm not worried about it. Now listen, we've got the disadvantages spelled out. They're in front of us. We know what they are. We're not running from them. Now let's devise a plan. Okay? I know this is my thing. I know this is what I have to deal with. I'm coming up with a plan. What's the plan? Okay? Do you have a plan? Because without a plan, you're doomed to fail. Period. There's no way you can decide you're going to run a 5K the day of and you have not ever ran a 5K and think that you're going to do it without some level of exhaustion. You're going to quit, right? Because you're like, what did I sign up for? So what's the plan? Okay, personal story for me. I moved to Texas at the age of 18. And I moved to Texas because I wanted to outrun anything that looked familiar. I wanted to get away from everything that represented my past in a way that was not favorable to me. I'm 18. Do I really know anything about Texas? Nope. Should I have moved to Texas at 18 and I'd never lived separate of my mother? I don't know. I did it anyway, right? Because I had the guts to do it. Now my mom was like, you're doing this because we've bought your plane tickets, we've paid application fees for you to go to Texas Southern University, you are going, you don't get to quit, you're going for a whole year. So I didn't really have a plan for this, it was just an idea. So along the way I got frustrated because I didn't really know what I signed up for. I was like, oh, it's gonna be fun. You know, I had never done a college tour to the school. Why didn't I do that? So I got there and it didn't resemble anything that I thought it would. But my plan was to finish because my mother said, you're going to finish this first year of school. You don't get to come home. You don't get to quit. So I had to figure out how I was going to get through this and eat because I was broke, right? And eat and figure it out. What did I do? I got a job. I was able to transfer my job from Portland to Texas. I was able to work while going to school. Did I get the best grades? No, I didn't. But part of that was I didn't choose a learning environment that was applicable to my learning style. At the time, you guys, I didn't have the hearing aids. So I was sitting in a college auditorium having the slightest idea what was being taught to me because I could not make out what the professor was saying. So my grades were they were a bit trash, okay? So whatever. But I came up with a plan because I was committed to getting my college degree. So plan A didn't go so great. But what was plan B? I went to school online. I graduated. I got 2 degrees. Thank you. There's a way to do it. If it doesn't work out the first time, it doesn't mean you have to just be like, oh, it wasn't for me. Maybe you didn't sit and think through the whole process. Like if you guys were on our last show, Nick Journey said you got a plan for everything, right? Our fearless strategist, she told us, you have to plan for everything. So you have to plan for the potential that it may not go as planned. So what is the alternative? She called him, what's the detour, right? So think about that. So come up with the plan and don't quit. Let part of the plan be, I will not quit. Affirm the desired outcome. I don't care how hard it gets. I don't care if it looks like the odds are being stacked against you. I don't care what it looks like. Part of that plan should be, I will not quit. I will conquer this. I will overcome this. The more you say it to yourself, the more you hear yourself affirm what you know you're capable of doing, the more likely you are to accomplish it. And then surround yourself with people who support your plan. There is nothing like being in the company of people who don't believe in you and you already have doubts. Whew. Like, oh my gosh, if they can't be a midwife to your dream, if they can't undergird you, if they can't pray with you without you even having to ask, if they can't see the big picture when they see you, you got the wrong people sitting at your table. And I am diverting for a minute here because I really want to say this. In this season of your life, you need to make sure whoever has a seat at your table is somebody that brought something with them. Because if they only came to eat, they are ridding you of your resources. They are draining you and they are hindering you from becoming the best possible version of you. Take inventory of the people who are eating from your table in this season. You have given out enough free meals. You have given out enough free speeches. You have given out enough free products. You have given whatever it is that you do, you have given enough freebies. Now it's time for us to eat collectively. It's potluck style. If you didn't bring nothing, you don't get nothing. Just like the family picnic. You know, the one cousin who don't cook or whatever that is, they got to at least bring sodas. Like, you can't come empty-handed. So stop giving people what they don't deserve for you for free because you feel like it's better to be in company of somebody than to be in the company of none. No, baby, you better learn to appreciate the company of yourself. Because sometimes when you're leaving your mark in this world, because I'm on topic, when you are leaving your mark in this world, sometimes when it's time to devise that blueprint, you got to be by yourself. Think about it when Jesus had to go to the Garden of Gethsemane. When he had to go pray, he said, watch. And he wouldn't pray for himself. He knew the role that he was about to take. He had to take that role independent of anybody's idea, independent of anybody's support. He had a mandate. He was not going to quit. He said, it is finished. See, he only could say it is finished because he had a conviction that whether they stay or whether they go, I'm going to the finish line. Okay? So everybody that's been eating for free, get up from the table because I need people who brought something with them in this season. Okay? Okay. Y'all, this one earring is wearing me out. I really want to pick it up and put it back in, but we're going to keep going. Okay? So bring something. And I want to talk about my mother again. I love my mama, y'all. She's so special. I really love my mama. I grew to appreciate her when I got older. You know, I went through that season where, you know, I didn't have all my sins, right? But I love my mom. Because this woman was committed to seeing me reach my highest self. All the odds were stacked against me. She was like, not my child. I'm gonna do whatever I can to help her get there. So another story that my mom told me. So when you are a person who has a hearing deficit, speech is automatically impacted, right? So the plan for me was, my mom was like, I'm not gonna let that be what they call your handicap. Okay? So from a very early age, my mother put her mouth to my mouth and she would form words for me. And she would talk and she would say the words for me. And we did hooked on phonics. And she was like, I'm not going to let this be the reason you don't succeed. And she came up with a plan. We were going to study together. We were going to do whatever I needed to do to make sure that I didn't fall behind. And then she said, and we're going to have a plan B. So when you're not with me and you can't hear them, I'm going to teach you how to read lips like a pro. See, my mama had a plan for it all. So I could sit in a classroom and where I would miss something by hearing, I could read your lips so I wouldn't fall behind. You need people at the table that's not going to let you fall behind. Is there anybody there that says, I got a plan for that too? Oh, don't worry about it, boo. I got a plan for that too. Who's planning for your complete success? That's the only way we're going to leave our mark in this world. I know everybody's like, I'm so independent. Don't be so independent that you don't recognize good help. Don't be so independent that nobody wants to serve you. You got to have a team. That's how we leave a lasting mark. That's how what you do is able to have legacy and reach generations. Think about some of the most thriving corporations. It's not a team of one. If you want to leave an impression that's going to speak to nations and generations, you gotta have people around you that will speak into that, okay? So I thank God for my mom because she wasn't going to let me fall behind. And as I grew older and I started to cultivate relationships, it was a trait that I was always looking for in people. Do they serve me well? Do I serve them well? And when it gets tough, are they dependable? Will they be reliable? Will they pray for me? Or are they always going to ask me to pray for them? Because, baby, although I'm an intercessor, sometimes I need people to learn to pray for themselves. I pray with you. I tell people. They'll be like, are you praying? I'm praying if you're praying. I'm so serious, y'all. Be like, did you pray? Okay. If you didn't pray, you pray first, and then you call me back or text me back or something. But I just can't be praying and you're not contributing to your own prayer and your own well-being. Like, come on, you got to help. You got to help me out. Just I can't. Come on, that's your cross. I'm just saying. Okay, I digress. Let me get back on topic. So, do we have a plan? Point 1: what are your disadvantages? Name them. Don't make them general blanket statements. Name them. Come up with a plan to overthrow them. Okay? You don't have to be timid with the plan. The only way you're going to execute it is when you boss up and decide, I'm going to complete this. I'm going to make sure that this happens. I'm not going to get weary and well-being. Though it tarry, it will come. Though it tarry, it will come. How well are you waiting? How well are you waiting, people? I'm just saying. Okay, so now that we have that, boss up. We've got a well-written plan. We wrote it out. We had some people to buy into it. We're excited about it. Now let's execute it. The worst thing that we can do is go through all this work and just leave it on the tablets. Right? Like, what's the point of a really good recipe being written on paper that we never go to the grocery store and pick up the ingredients and cook the dish? It's almost a waste, right? So now that you have the recipe for your success on how you're going to leave your mark, we've got to have some application. We've got to decide that we want to eat this dish. We want to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to put one foot in front of the other. I'm ready to execute. I'm going to do this. I know some people might get tired of hearing me say it, but even when it came to launching out and doing something new, when it came to a career for me, I was like, I don't know. I know this. I don't want to walk away from this. I'm comfortable with this. This is what I know. This is what I do. But I knew that there was an opportunity for me to grow. I knew there was an opportunity for me to be elevated, for my skills to be enhanced, and I had to do it. I'm thankful for my pushers. I'm thankful for the people who don't let me settle because I'm nervous or fearful. I'm thankful. I'm doing things that I would have never done had I not had my pushers. So when you decide it's time to execute, make sure you have pushers in your corner. Is there somebody that's going to be like, let's go. Let's go. Come on. Right? Because it's better that there be two. Because if you fall, someone can pick you up. Execute it. And give yourself mile markers. Because I don't know about some of y'all, but some of my dreams are huge. Like, I was like, God, why did you give me such a grand imagination? Because I'm like, I don't have the slightest idea how you would even do that. Brother, it's just me today. Hope that's okay. No co-host, just me. I was like, I don't know how I would even begin to do that. And I'm growing to understand that the reason that God gives me the dreams that he gives me, and the reason they are as lofty as they are, is because he trusts that my dependency is on him. Because if he don't do it, it's not going to get done. I'm not that smart. I'm not that grand. I can't do it in my own strength. But I am so grateful to God that I have God assurance that goes before me. I don't have to be confident in me. He got this. He gave me the vision, so all the provision that's attached to that, He's taking it. He's going to make sure that this comes to pass. And I think the reason why some of us don't execute is because we are afraid of failure. We are afraid of success. See, some people are afraid of failure, but I know quite a few people that are afraid of being successful. They don't really want to do it because, like, okay, now when I get there, though, like, it might upset a couple people. Like, I might, be black, I might become the black sheep, or I don't know how to maintain that. The thing that you've got to understand is every level of success that you're entrusted with, you're equipped to handle. Not only are you equipped to handle it, you're equipped to grow and beyond that measure of success. You've got to trust in your God-given ability to be fruitful. You have to. You have been called to do something that only you can do in this world. Only you. So don't be afraid of the sound of your own voice. Don't be afraid of the loftiness of your plan. Don't be timid when you pitch your idea. I tell you, I have grand ideas, but I don't know how to ask for money. That's not my strong suit. Like, I don't know how to ask people to buy into something. I don't know how to ask people to financially support stuff. Like, I haven't mastered that. But I know it's going to take revenue for me to do the things that God called me to do. So I have to figure that out. Jamila, how are you going to get comfortable asking people for money? What do you need to get comfortable asking people to assist you with? If you're not a good executor, get a strategist. Get somebody that can help you map it out. It's okay to acknowledge that that's not your strong suit. It don't make you less of a person, it makes you honest. And I appreciate an honest and a humble person, because at the point where we know where we can help you, somebody is interested in seeing you be successful. Somebody is interested in you reaching your goal, and somebody is willing to come alongside of you to make sure that happens. But you got to be honest about where you are. You have to be honest about where you are. And I just wanted to get online, you guys, and talk to you about that, because I need y'all to show up in this season. I need the real you, the full you, not the fragmented you, not the work version, not the church version, not the social version. I need the fullness of who you are to show up in this season of your life. I beg of you, please ma'am, please sir, whatever you do, choose to show up. And when you come up with this plan on how you're going to execute, how you're going to overcome your deficiencies, how you plan to leave your mark in this universe, please don't over-evolve out of who you are authentically. I've seen that happen so many times. I've done it myself. I had a conversation with someone. I said, I felt like I had to keep changing. I had to keep evolving to the point that I didn't recognize the person that was standing in the mirror. Like, I was like, whoa, who did you become? And why did you become that for them? Because what I remembered was who I was, as I said at the top of the show, was enough. I'm enough in my own self. So all I need to do is show up in the person of Jamila. All you need to do is show up in the person of yourself. Continue to grow, continue to be, but be you. Please. I heard Oprah say it on Super Soul Sunday. She said that a journalist interviewed her some 10 years prior. And when she had come back to interview her again, she said, I don't think you've changed much. It just seems that you've become more of yourself over the years. And when she said that, I said, I really hope that when somebody wants to interview me one day, I don't know, because I'm believing God for where he's taking me, y'all. It's a beautiful sight to behold. It is, if I may say so. I got to believe in my own dream before somebody else will. I know that. But she said, you didn't change much. You just became more of you. And I pray that there's a grace that comes on us all to not change who we are, but to become more of who we are authentically, to become more of ourselves, to present more of ourselves, to be confident enough in who we are, that I don't have to change who I am for you. I just have to become more of me. And when I think about that, and if I break it down and unpack it, what I think happens is, as you become more and more confident in who you are, and you know, and you learn to acknowledge your worth, and you learn that I am enough, and I am his, and he has designed me for this unique purpose, you start to pull off the layers of falsehood. I think that's what happens. When I stand in my truth, I'm able to dismantle the stuff that I put on in hopes of attracting other people, in the hopes of pleasing other people. I pulled all that stuff off, right? And so as I begin to pull all that off, I begin to show through all the masks, all the makeup, all the facades, all the titles, all of that. I put it down and I just decided, here I am, this is who I am. And I present her to you, and I'm okay with her. And I understand that she stumbles over her words. And I know that she has an issue with self-image that she's trying to come over. And I know that she wars with her weight. And I know that sometimes she gets a little scared when she goes into atmospheres where she doesn't really know anybody. I know that about her, but there's something unique and rare about her. So I give her to you guys anyway. And I know that I'm not for everybody, but I know that there's a tribe assigned to my voice, and I know that, you know, I may not be politically correct for some, and maybe I'm too far to the left for others, and maybe I'm not conservative enough for some, but I give her to you anyway. And every day that I show up in the fullness of me, I love her a little bit more. I choose her a little bit more. I decide that she's worth it a little bit more. I pray that each of you guys will begin to rip the layers of falsehood that keep you from being authentically you. And every day that you show up in the fullness of who you are. And you don't evolve out of yourself, but you evolve into who he's called you to be. And the more that you learn that I am sent here for this, and I have but a set time to get it done, and I don't have time to waste trying to present myself in the person that I am not, the closer you get to your finish line. See, understanding who you are puts you in a position to win your race. Knowing who you are positions you to win, period, because it's your race. See, we feel like we're losing because we start running other people's races. But when I'm in my lane and I know who I am, I'm positioned to win, period. How I get to the finish line ain't your business. When I get to the finish line, really ain't your business. But when I get to the finish line, understand that I won. I won my race. I touched the lives that I was supposed to touch. I spoke the words that I was supposed to speak. I wore the clothes that I was supposed to wear. I have my hair the way I have it. My skin color is what it is for a reason. I live where I live for a reason. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Every day that you show up and you fall in love with you, you position the world to receive such a unique gift. Such a unique gift. I want to read something to you guys out of the book. That it's called the Hannah Anointing. I just want you to hear this. Here's it says, there are seasons in our life when God has to shut things down in order to prepare us for the next big thing about to be released in our lives. Our current capacity can't handle what God is about to do, so he closes up shop for a season to prepare us for expansion and increase. There is a season in our lives where God has to shut things down in order to prepare us for the next big thing that's about to be released in your life. For some of us, we feel like we've been in a winter season. We feel like everything has gone dormant. You're telling me to leave my mark, Jamila. I don't really know what it is. It's dark right now. I don't really feel like anything's moving. I don't feel like anything's happening for me. But God will shut things down to prepare you for the next season. God will shut some things down. He'll shut down your busyness. He'll shut down your meaningless relationships. He'll shut down whatever is going to deter you from reaching his expected end for your life. He'll shut all of that down to prepare you for the increase and the expansion that is on the horizon. Sometimes he's got to shut down relationships that mean you no good. Sometimes he's got to shut down your self-doubt. Sometimes he's got to quiet your spirit. Sometimes he has to shut you down. I've been in a season. He shut me down. But when he released me after that season, I was a far better version of me, ready to make a more profitable impression in the lives of those he sent my way than I was prior to. So don't get discouraged if it looks like you're in a season where nothing seems to be growing. Don't let the barrenness of the season cause you to give up on the dream and the legacy, because there is a season where you may have to be on pause, but God has to shut it down. Because what you're doing won't profit you in the long run. And the energy that he's going to allow you to recoup, because in winter it's a season of rest as well. It's not just dormant because nothing's growing, but he gives you an opportunity to rest and reposition and realign. And so if you've been in a winter and you feel like, I don't really understand, why is this happening? You're in that season. Rest. Receive what the season has to teach you, so that when you are released for the expansion, you have the capacity. See, the ridding of the things that you don't need increases your capacity for what will serve you well. So the people that had to leave, the relationships that had to be broken off, the job that you got fired from, the circles that you were excommunicated out of, whatever it was, it's freed up some space for you to be the recipient of something that you didn't even know you were in line to receive. I believe that for somebody. I feel that so strongly for somebody under the sound of my voice. And I pray that God would manifest it speedily for you. The thing that you have room, now that you've been rid of so many things that you thought were going to be the crutches, you were rid of some things that you thought were going to be the answer to how you got to the next level. God ridded you of so many things, and it hurt. it hurt. You thought those people had your best interests at heart. You thought that you were on your way to a promotion at that job. Whatever, yeah, that's what it is. You thought that you had served well, that you qualified for the next level of advancement in that place. And then they cut you off and you were like, what did I do? I thought I was doing everything right. You were. That's why you got cut off, because what's coming to you is bigger than what they had to offer you. Woo! Whew. What's coming, they didn't have the capacity to give you. So he ridded you of what was going to only give you this much of an increase so that he could give you the big thing, the great thing, the lofty thing, the thing that you rightfully deserve, because none of your suffering was in vain. None of it. You lost nothing that you did not need. You lost what was going to be a hindrance to you, and you are coming into a season. He told us to be fruitful and to multiply and have dominion. Be fruitful, multiply, have dominion. You've got a legacy to leave. You've got a mark to leave in this earth, and you are equipped now more than ever to do just that. Just that. And I'm excited for you. And I want to hear the testimonies about what God has done, because I know in my heart this is what he has called me to tell you in this season. And it wasn't just for you, it was for me as well. And I thank God that he's so gracious with his word. I thank God that he handles us so preciously and so carefully, that he doesn't displace a single tear, and that he's heard and answered every single prayer. And even though it's hard, he's still good, and he's good to me, and he's good to you. And you have the grace that you need to be awesome. You have the grace to be the answer that you've been called to in this time and in this season. You are the answer for something that you didn't even know. I found that out today. My mama prayed that over my life. I didn't even know that. But I said it again and again because it's been a recurring theme for like the last, I feel like 6 months for me. And to hear it keep coming back as quickly as it has, I don't think it's unique to me. I think it's specific to everybody who's been in waiting and feels like they've served well, but they're still waiting, and feel like, I don't know what else is going to happen, and I'm still waiting, and I'm still waiting. You're waiting because you are the answer to something that is going to be far-reaching. But the womb will be open when you shift your prayer from how can I get it to how can you use it for your glory. Give what you want back to God and allow him to use it for his glory, and watch him blow your natural mind. It's happening. I'm so excited. Thank y'all so much for tuning in this evening. I enjoyed our time together. My prayer is that something was said that touched your life, that pricked your heart, that gave you some confirmation for something that you've been praying or journaling about, or whatever it is. I want to leave you with this journal prompt. Y'all, almost forgot to give y'all the journal prompt. You know I don't do that. I hope that I really hope that it was a push that you needed to decide to hope and dream again, and decide that I'm not going to leave this earth without leaving my legacy. I truly hope that. So for your journal prompt, I want you to write, what will I do today to secure a better tomorrow for myself and those I'm called to do life with? Again, what will I do today to secure a better tomorrow for myself and those I am called to do life with? That is how you shift from a barrenness to fruitfulness, because it's not just about you, but it's about how you can serve, how your life can be used as a river through which whatever God needs to flow can flow through you. Don't be a reservoir. Ask God to make you a river. And when you become an answer to someone else, God will give you more than enough, because you only need what you need, but you use the rest to be a blessing to others. Give back to him the thing that you've been praying for, and watch him blow your natural mind. Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This week, I will be in Webster, Texas, beginning tomorrow evening at the Spring Into Your Freedom Conference. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be with this group of ladies. We've got again, some over 50 registrants that'll be there. And I'm excited for our time together. The following weekend, April 13th, I will be at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum at the Women's Expo, where their conference host is Angela Ware. And y'all, I have updated the apparel shop, so I have on one tonight. As you can see, I am unbroken, hard pressed on every side, but I'm not crushed or destroyed. Amen. Hallelujah. You can visit www.brunchofgirls.org to get all of your affirmation apparel. I think y'all will enjoy some of the newbies that are up there. So check it out when you get a chance. Again, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I hope something was said to bless your soul. If not, think about it again. It'll bless you. It'll bless you. It has to. All right. Thank y'all. Have a good night. Bye.